Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. It's JMA Friday, so we're going to have a look at the coming month from the Japanese model. It takes us into the start of April, can you believe, up towards Easter. So we're going to be doing long range look ahead today. Hope you find it interesting and informative. Before I get on with that though, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on most of the pages at gasco.com. Have a browse through widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go off and read those articles, and thanks so much for doing that. Competition starting on Sunday. I've teamed up with medcheck.co.uk weather instrumentation, and we're going to be giving away a fantastic prize on Sunday. You will be able to see what that prize is at the start of the weekend forecast video tomorrow. So you have a bit of a sneak peek of it. I won't go into too much detail about the competition. I have to come back on Sunday for that, but you will be able to see the prize that we're giving away. So do come back tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, check out the video for the weekend forecast, and the start of the video will show you what the prize is going to be. Competition starting then on Sunday. Let's go on video then, and we're going to start off with the JMA model as we usually do. 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly period. The first week period will be taking us from the 6th to the 13th of March, the week that we are currently in. Blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and red, orange, yellow extrapolating to high pressure. So for the coming week, with very obviously you've got a big area of above average height sitting right over top of the country. British Isles is just there. The jet stream, the flow is going around the ridge like that. So more or less on the mild side of a jet and ridge of high pressure. It should be a reasonably okay week. I think we'll bring some weather systems through early on next week, maybe some rain coming down across the country on Sunday and Monday, but generally I think high pressure will be quite dominant actually through the course of the coming week. If we bring up a continental flow, it could get quite mild if it's from the south. If it's from a more easterly point, it could be a little bit chilly. It's still early enough in the year, or early enough in the spring, for high pressure conditions to produce, particularly at night, quite cold conditions actually, with at least a chance of frost. As we go through into the second weekly period, high pressure holds sway, and this one takes us from the 13th to the 20th of March. Here we go with the orange colours again, sitting right over the top of the country. Perhaps a little bit more of a southerly or southwesterly type flow with this one, the low pressure out in the Atlantic, and the jet stream going something like that. So we could be bringing up more of a southerly influence actually through that middle part of the month. If that came off, that could be very pleasant and spring-like, with temperatures going warmer than average. We'll go through to the final 2 weekly period. This takes us from the 20th of March through to the 3rd of April. And look at this, the yellow colours are still there. Of course, we've lost the intensity of the colours. That's because we've gone further out, so the signal isn't as strong. But overall, the ridge is still there, still hanging on right over top of the country. This is right going to be a very dry month indeed coming up, with not much rain coming through again, with jet stream going something like that. So on the mild side of jet still, and ridge of high pressure, sun getting stronger and stronger by the day. So that should be very pleasant indeed actually as we go through into the second half of March and the start of April. No real sign of a breakdown there with high pressure conditions. Sometimes with these seasonal long range models, they can get themselves stuck in a rut though, particularly with high pressure, and they have a job to see the breakdown. So don't necessarily be assuming it's going to be a high pressure fest for the next month. We may get a breakdown, particularly later on in this period. It's just the fact that the model can't see it at this stage. But taken at face value, that looks like a lot of dry and fine weather coming up for the coming monthly period. The CFS V2 model, again broken down into week periods, showing is showing very, very similar type conditions. So this first weekly period with a 500 millibar heights takes us from the 6th to the 15th of March, and again the high pressure is in there more or less over top of the country, just sitting a little bit to the east. The jet stream going something like that between the ridge that's around the UK, most of Europe, and the trough that's up there around Greenland. So again, lots of high pressure dominating, some unsettled conditions coming into the northwest, in particular at the start of next week, but overall high pressure is in control going through towards the middle of March. As we go through to the next weekly period, this takes us from the 13th to the 19th of March, and again, it's the same idea as the JMA. The high pressure is in there over top of the country, very dominant. The low pressure, which would be bringing us the unsettled conditions, is up there across Greenland and Iceland. The jet stream going like that between the trough and the ridge, so high pressure continues to dominate. It remains mostly dry and fine through that period. Some bands of rain could come through, some showery bursts, particularly always in the north and the west, but overall the high pressure is dominant. Now we go through to the third week period. This takes us from the 20th to the 26th of March. High pressure still in control, but a little bit of a change in the positioning. Instead of sitting over and slightly to the east, it's actually sitting over and slightly to the west of the coast. So it's the ridge is pulling out towards the central part of the Atlantic, and the jet stream probably starting to niggle in there across the country. It means that for more northern and western parts, it may return a little bit more unsettled, the driest weather down to the south and the southwest. But this could be indicative, as we get through towards the latter stages of March, of a little bit of a breakdown beginning to take place. And that really continues into the final week period, going from the 27th of March through to the 2nd of April. The high pressure is in the central part of the Atlantic, to the west of the country. The jet stream, I think, is starting to dig back in. So it's starting to turn more unsettled as we get through towards the end of March with this one. Don't by any means be running away with the idea that it's a terribly unsettled pattern. It isn't. But I think the orientation of high pressure is just starting to allow the jet stream to push in a little bit more as we go through to the end of March, turning a little bit more unsettled, and probably turning cooler as well, actually, because I think we would be drawing the air back in from where it's been very often through this winter season, actually, from around Newfoundland, from around parts of Canada, eastern parts of Canada. It's beginning to draw that sort of air mass back in from Greenland and Canada. So overall, I think as we get through towards the end of March and the start of April with the CFS V2, it's gradually seeing a change to slightly more unsettled conditions, slightly cooler as well. The city temperature forecast from website webweb.net, based on the CFS V2 model, backs this up quite nicely, actually. This is for Birmingham for the next 6 weeks, and we start off here where we are at the moment on the 6th of March. We end up somewhere around the 18th of April, and you can see that quite a mild period coming through most of March. Actually turns really quite warm there around middle part of the month. It's 16th of March just here, and by then the temperatures are going up to around 17 or 18 degrees. As we get through towards the last stages of the month, this is the 26th of March just here, and this is when the CFS 500 millibar height anomalies are pulling that ridge into the central part of the Atlantic. As we get through to that point, the temperatures do drop down quite significantly. Actually goes really quite cold just for a day or two. Around the 26th of March, we go down to maximums of just 3 or 4 degrees, and there is night frost fairly widely through that period as well. This is -2 degrees, for instance, just here. It doesn't last all that long. As you get through to the start of April, the temperatures begin to recover again, as you would expect, because we're well into spring by then. But certainly signs right at the end of March, or around the final week of the month anyway, that we do get some significantly cooler weather coming through for a few days. And I think that's based on the change in the orientation of the high pressure going into the central part of the Atlantic and pulling the air down from the northwest. Finally, these are how the 500 millibar high anomalies are breaking down, I should say, into a monthly period. So the next 3 months. So this is for March, April, and May. Again, this is the website weatherweb.net. You can find a link to WeatherWeb on the links page. And again, for March, we've got the ridge sitting just out to west of the country, with the low pressure up to the north. So it's that idea, but as we go through March, the ridge is being pulled from sitting more or less over the top of the country out into the central part of the Atlantic. That allows that slightly more unsettled and cooler air to eventually come in as we get through in towards the second half of March and towards the final week of the month. Really, the air being drawn in from sort of Greenland and Canada. As we go through towards the 500 millibar high anomaly for April, we can see that it probably turns a little bit more unsettled. The ridge goes down towards Spain and Portugal. Portugal, and the trough sinks down into the UK. So if anything, it turns more unsettled through April. The flow is generally westerly, so it's probably not all that cold, but it is certainly a more unsettled month in April. And then for May, not very good. And this is a very consistent signal from the CFS V2. Actually, if you've been watching the CFS 6 monthly updates that I do once a month, you'll know that May has consistently been looking like quite a dodgy month, and it's still sort of this idea that we get high pressure setting up over top of the pole, the low pressure is over and to the south of the country, the trough over to the south of the country, the flow is like that. So we go on to the cold side of the jet for May, and we're under a trough of low pressure. That's a pretty poor month, I have to say. We have quite a lot of rain with that, and the temperature will be really quite cool as well. So don't be too concerned about that, but it is a consistent signal from the CFS V2. But anyway, coming back to the coming month, which is when we're mainly concerned about, it looks like we're going to have a lot of anticyclonic influences through March. High pressure should be dominating, but as we get through towards the final week or so of the month, it may turn a little bit more unsettled and a little bit cooler as well. But overall, high pressure holds sway for March, so plenty of dry weather for the start of spring. That's it for now. Come back tomorrow's weekend forecast when we will have that sneak peek at the competition prize at the start of the video. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.